Good evening. I'm Patricia Vallone with a CTV News update. Survivors of sex abuse by Maryland's clergy are concerned about the slow pace of an investigation by Attorney General Brian Frosh. 3 years after the state announced an investigation into abuse allegations, victims are still waiting for results. Earlier this week, survivors held a protest outside of Frosh's office, saying they're frustrated and concerned that the case may sit idle due to Frosh's pending retirement. David Lorenz heads the Maryland Division of Survivors Network of Those Abused by Priests, commonly known as SNAP. The Bowie resident, who is also a victim of priest abuse in another state, says the investigation is shrouded in secrecy.
It took Pennsylvania 2 years to investigate 6 dioceses, and we only have 3 dioceses, and it's taken us 4 years. So it's taken us twice as long with half as many dioceses as the state of Pennsylvania. They just haven't put the resources behind this investigation. About a year ago, a couple of newspapers picked up our concern about that. They wrote an article, and they interviewed 3 survivors who had been interviewed. Those 3 survivors expressed concern that nothing was happening, they hadn't heard anything. The Attorney General contacted each of them individually and told them indictments are coming soon. The impression being months. That was December of last year. Here we are in August of this year and nothing's happened. And the Attorney General is going to retire early next year.
The Attorney General's office says the investigation is ongoing. The Federal Highway Administration deals a setback to Maryland's plan to build toll lanes on the Capitol Beltway and I-270. The move drew the ire of Governor Larry Hogan, who said the delay will harm the state's efforts to ease congestion on one of the nation's worst bottlenecks. And while it's not clear how long the delay will be or what caused it, Hogan is calling on the feds to reverse the decision. Environmental organizations like the Sierra Club welcome the move.
We've been very concerned about this project for many reasons. We know that selling off our roads to a private developer to lock in decades of fossil fuel infrastructure is not the right direction. We also know that in light of many environmental injustice issues with highways being built and expanded, this is the wrong direction. And we've seen from the beginning so many flaws in their analyses from the administration, lack of consultation. And so we are glad to see that this project has been delayed, and ultimately we're calling for this project to be scrapped completely.
The agency was expected to issue its final decision on Hogan's plan today. Well, here are the latest COVID-19 numbers for our area. The Maryland Department of Health has confirmed 1,720 new cases. The county's positivity rate remains at 16%. 5 Marylanders have died of the virus over the past 24 hours. 614 people are in the hospital. That's 10 more than yesterday. As families prepare to send their children back to school, a White House official gives some advice to parents about masks in schools. As we reported earlier, the Prince George's school system has now made masks optional for students and for staff. However, Maryland continues to report new COVID infections every day. Dr. Cameron Webb, a senior advisor to the White House COVID-19 response team, says parents should check the CDC's website for the community infection levels.
I think that's an important way for us to navigate, is to know when it's time to put those masks back on or when the levels are a little bit lower in your community. So if your community has medium level transmission or higher, the recommendation is to really consider wearing masks.
The first day of school in Prince George's is August 29th. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone. We'll be back in just a moment.
I tell my son, I love you every single day.
I love you.
Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, it was an emotional day for the WNBA team, the Phoenix Mercury. They had to play a game against the Connecticut Sun last night, but hours earlier they learned that their teammate Brittany Griner was sentenced to 9 years in a Russian jail. The sentence was handed down yesterday after a Russian court convicted her of drug possession. The Mercury and Sun held a moment of solidarity before the game. And afterwards, players expressed heartfelt emotions.
Asking if these questions don't really take away from our trauma. You just add to our trauma so we can keep here. We can break down and cry in front of y'all so you can see how we feel. Like, what else I don't know what else to really say about it. It's our sister. This is not some random Jane off the street. It's not anything we're politicizing. It's a human being, and this is our real life friend and real life sister. So imagine if your real life friend or real life sister is out here.
Elizabeth Rood, the United States Embassy's deputy chief in Moscow, called Griner's conviction a miscarriage of justice. Two Maryland branches of national voting rights organizations send a letter to the State Board of Elections recommending changes. In the letter, the ACLU and Common Cause said they're concerned about process issues and mistakes that could have disenfranchised voters and had a disproportionate impact on people of color and disabled persons. The groups list several problems that occurred during this year's primary elections, including voters being put in wrong districts, duplicate ballots, incorrect sample ballots, and multiple design and printing errors. Well, despite inflationary fears and concerns about a possible recession, employers added a stunning 528,000 jobs last month. That's twice what some economists had expected. There were 130,000 more jobs created during the month of July than there were in June. The unemployment rate looks good. It fell to 3.5%. That's the lowest since the pandemic struck in early 2020. A West Virginia man who made threats against Dr. Anthony Fauci and other officials is sentenced to more than 3 years in federal prison. 56-year-old Patrick Connolly Jr. pleaded guilty to using an anonymous email account to send a series of emails to Fauci, his family, and other medical professionals, threatening to harm or kill them. One of the emails said that Fauci and his family would be, quote, dragged into the street, beaten to death, and set on fire. The incidents happened between December 2020 and July 2021. The Biden administration officially declares monkeypox a public health emergency. The declaration, which came out on Thursday, will allow the federal government to free up money and resources to combat the spread of the virus. According to the CDC, more than 7,100 Americans have been infected by the virus. Here in Maryland, there are 162 reported cases of monkeypox. Meantime, many states, including Maryland, have a limited supply of the vaccine. And Montgomery County residents will now be able to pre-register to get the monkeypox vaccine from the health department. The jurisdiction recently launched an online pre-registration survey for the vaccine. The survey will allow health officials to determine who is interested in getting the shot and who's been exposed to the virus. Due to limited availability of the vaccine, Montgomery has only received 647 doses from the state.
We know more people are interested and may be at risk than we currently have the vaccine doses available for. So by completing this pre-registration form, which asks a series of health-related questions, once we do have additional vaccine, then we'll be able to go back to the pre-registration list and contact people and ask them to make appointments.
To fill out the survey, visit the website on your screen. Meantime, the Prince George's Health Department will host a virtual town hall discussion on the monkeypox vaccine next Wednesday, August 10th at 6:30 p.m. And we will have much more news in just a moment. Stay with us.
Dear humans, I stand here today not for myself, but for every tail wagger, sloppy kisser, and curtain ninja. I stand here for each one of the thousands of dogs and cats killed in shelters each day, asking you to join our cause and help us make sure every best friend has a chance to meet one of their own. With Best Friends Animal Society leading the charge and your help, we can save them all.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, 2 people were killed during a lightning strike at Lafayette Square near the White House last night. 2 others were critically injured. It happened just before 7 as powerful storms blew through our region. Investigators say 75-year-old Donna Mueller and her 76-year-old husband James of Wisconsin died overnight in a local hospital. First responders found the 4 individuals near a cluster of trees, and while the investigation is ongoing, officials stress that people should go indoors when there's lightning and warn against seeking shelter under trees. Authorities charge an 18-year-old with manslaughter for allegedly fatally shooting a teenager in Oxon Hill, who police say was his friend. The suspect is Demetrius Clark. Officers were called to a fire station on Marcy Avenue back on August 2nd for a report of a gunshot victim. Police say that Clark was handling a gun when it went off and struck the 16-year-old. Clark then dropped off the teen boy at the fire station. He died later at a hospital. Detectives say they believe the shooting was accidental. Well, the yearly Hoops for Peace event is back again in Prince George's for the 27th year. CTV's Laurencia Moten has the story.
Thanks, Patty. I'm here in the AC Jordan Arena on the campus of Bowie State University. Here, the 27th annual Hoops for Peace Community Violence Intervention Youth Summit and 3-on-3 basketball tournament will take place tomorrow from 9 to 5 p.m. For the past 30 years, the event has helped over 5,000 youth ages 8 to 18 and their families, giving them positive interactions with influential members of the community. This annual event was created to promote public awareness and help drive change in the area of youth violence. This year, the event is back on the campus of Bowie State University, where it originally began.
It's a tremendous opportunity, not just for Bowie State University, but for the young men who are going to participate in this tournament. Having the space to do this is a blessing. Having someone like George Hodge as the lead to come out and show us what it takes to facilitate opportunities for young men, it's just a blessing, and we're very honored to bring it back to Bowie State University, and we plan on keeping it here for a long, long time.
Tomorrow, expert guest panelists and community leaders will all be in attendance on this court to discuss positive solutions to stop the violence through athletics. Community Kinship Coalition founder George Hodge explained how sports can be a driving factor in change.
I respect sports. I respect basketball because that's how I got out the neighborhood on a scholarship. Life is bigger than sports. And what we try to do is make sure that we put positive people in front of these young people and let them know that we accept them where they are, and there are alternatives out here aside from athletics. That's why we put these dynamic panelists in front of them, just to expose them, to let them know the sky's the limit.
Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Laurencia. Well, if you are a fan of the Washington Commanders, you have a chance to watch them in person tomorrow. The team is hosting a practice session at FedEx Field in Landover. The event begins at 6:45. It's free and open to the public, but you must sign up for a ticket to attend. Meantime, at the Commanders practice facility in Ashburn, players wrapped up their week talking about the offense. Quarterbacks Taylor Heineke and Sam Howell spoke about the team's potential.
This offense is one that we want to push it down the field. You know, we have a lot of weapons and stuff like that. So I think the biggest part is just being smart while doing it. You know, making the smart decision. So when it's there, we take it. If it's not, you know, give it to one of our backs and let them do their thing. So again, we're all still learning. We're all trying to get better. But yeah, you know, Carson and I have a really good relationship, and we try and help each other out there.
It's a lot of fun. We have so many talented guys in that room, and they're all really good guys. So it's just a blessing to be out here to come on the practice field with such great players around you. So it's been a lot of fun.
Again, the free practice session will begin at 6:45 p.m. at FedEx Field. Turning now to your weather forecast. Tonight, rain likely with lows around 73 degrees. Tomorrow, cloudy with a chance of thunderstorms, highs around 89. Sunday, sunny with a slight chance of thunderstorms again, highs near 91. And Monday, mostly sunny skies, and once again, thunderstorms possible, highs again in the 90s. And that wraps up our CTV News Update. I'm Patricia Vallone. Have a great weekend.